just connected based on listening to you, Elix. Yesterday, I did a reading for a woman, and her dad was still living, but her paternal grandfather was crossed, and he stepped forward, and he had me ask her about teaching. I said, "You're not a teacher?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Was there somebody that wanted to be a teacher and never was, or what's the teaching connection?" And she said to me, "My father wanted me to be a teacher." And that's why the grandfather was bringing it up. But the father's still living, and it was just, I think it's pretty wild that I just connected, because so many of these things that spirits say are random, but in this particular case, it really was just about validating that his son wanted his daughter, who I was talking to be a teacher, but she didn't follow that. And just how happy he was that she followed what she wanted to do. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And again, if you're tuning in, we're having a conversation about how do you define success for yourself. And the golden nugget is that if you fail to define success for yourself, you then are trying to pursue somebody else's idea of what success is. And when you do that, it's going to you'll end up in a place where you are going to be frustrated, unhappy, unfulfilled, unsatisfied, and ultimately deeply, deeply unsuccessful. Now, there's a couple of things. We're about to take a break, but I'm gonna just start the conversation. A couple of things to keep in mind. There is what we call objective metrics. That's what I call the scorecard, right? So when people think of success, they think of the title, a job title. I want to be the president. I want to be a C-suite executive. I want to be the CEO, the owner. Salaries, how oftentimes we define success by how much money we're making. Again, nothing wrong with that, by the way. The size of your bank account. There's many people that define success by how much money they have in the bank. The more money they have, the more successful they are. Personal achievements. There's people who run marathons. There's people who have awards. There's people who have, schooling. They become MBAs or CEOs or doctors or whatever. I see this with, parents, the college your children get accepted to. That is a way that they define success. Again, it's almost like a scorecard. That's what we call the objective metrics. Then there's this subjective metrics. That's what I personally call keeping an eye on that foundational integrity, because the subjective metrics is that level of satisfaction, doing something that is meaningful work for you, having joy in what you do, really waking up with that excitement that you can't wait to get your day started. You can't wait to do whatever it is that you do. How happy you are at home, how fulfilling your relationships are. Those are subjective metrics. And the idea here is that, again, nothing wrong with the scorecard, but I would argue that the subjective metric becomes the foundation from which we build, success. And if that is missing, then the scorecard is just a scorecard. And there's plenty of people that we know can check the job salary, can check the title or the bank accounts, but they're lacking that foundational integrity card, if you will. They're missing that sense of satisfaction, fulfillment, love, joy, passion in their lives. And that's what you want to be very careful of. So, Stephen, it's about time to take a break. Let's take a break. When we'll come back, I want to hear your thoughts about scorecards. Okay? We'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elix. I am your host, Coach Elix, and with me, my wonderful co-host,
Stephen, the medium. And if you happen to be going back on Facebook and seeing the stream, it's back up. The station lost power, so we had to do a restream.
Yay, we're back on.
Yes.
So we have been talking about how to define success for ourselves and the importance of defining success for ourselves, because when you don't define success for yourself, then you're living into I'm not asserting that you are, but it's very likely that you're living into somebody else's definition of success. And if you're living into somebody else's definition of success, it's very likely that you're not following your own authentic pathway. So, I talked about, the two types of examples, both of metrics, by which we measure success. And there's the objective metrics, the scorecard, whether it's a job title, a salary, the size of your bank account, personal achievements, where your children go to college. And then there is that subjective metric, what I call that foundational integrity card. That's the level of satisfaction, fulfillment, love, joy, connection, happiness that you have every day, that brings you that every day in everything that you do. So, Stephen, for you, have you experienced, holding that scorecard and knowing that the subjective may be missing, or the other way around?
Yeah, throughout my life, yeah, absolutely. And I love that you said, or the other way around in parts of your life, because I definitely have held that scorecard very proudly. But then there's also times, and I think more recently, that I have, say, I'm doing an event or my website, whatever it is, for the mediumship piece, I always have Esquire or JD. And that's not, for me, it's now not about a scorecard. It's just about the accomplishment. All the work I put in of, 4 years going part-time and going through law school and then taking the bar and passing it. So I guess to answer your question, yes, I have, and it shifts, and I think for me it shifted in a better way right now.
And that is what's important. I mean, again, if you're listening, I want to make sure I am not asserting that having, using the metric, the objective metric, what I call the scorecard, it's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that. Many of us, we want success. We want money. We want titles. We want big bank accounts. God only knows I need a big bank account just to be able to do the things that Stephen wants to do every weekend. So nothing wrong with that. However, you don't want to find yourself holding that metric only as your measure of success, because if you're missing that level of fulfillment, if you're not doing what you love, if satisfaction is missing, if love is missing, if happiness is missing, I would invite you guys to consider that then you're still not living your best and most successful life. And there's plenty of examples of that. How often do you see people who are multimillionaires who end up living miserable lives because they're not happy? So the score card alone is not enough. That's what I would argue. As a way to consider, not as an absolute, by the way. But Stephen, I'm sort of curious, because you've been asking me to ask you these questions since the very beginning of the show. How do you define success?
Well, I was asking you because yesterday you told me about the subject of this show. So, of course, I knew that was going to be a question. So I started thinking about it since last night when I went to sleep, about how do I define success. And at first I just thought, well, I have to make sure I get the right words together and how this is going to sound and how it's going to capture what I feel success is. And what I love is sort of an aha moment, which is as an example, is what I talked about going to California about getting to meet and see our friends. Because for me, and again, this is just my definition of success, I think it's for me, it continuously changes. And I say that because for me, I don't think I can really reach success unless I'm present and living in the present. And if you're living in the present, the success is immediate. It's now. So like running, and hitting my highest mark of the length of time, 4.62, in that moment. And I remember when I hit 4.62 and I shut off the monitor on my phone that was telling me how I ran, I just like smiled and I looked up and I looked at the beach and I was present. I was watching the waves, and that was such a success. So I think I like to define it as many like ongoing successes every day that are always present when I'm present. And I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. And that's actually a beautiful thing to say, because that sort of forces you to practice the art of being present.
Yes.
Right? And being present it's like an ongoing. It's not like you flip a switch and then you're present, because you could say you're present and then not be present because your mind goes into something else. In fact,
Absolutely.
that's why people, often take on the art of meditation to sort of like learn how to be present. So being present is a moment to moment opportunity, if you will. For me, how do I define success? I thought about a lot about this. And let me first tell you that for me, it was all about what I thought success was. And for many, many years, I also held on to the scorecard. I had to be the best. I had to be the bigger. I have to be the one that make the most money. I had to have the best title. I had to have the better car. That to me was how I defined success for many years. And then when I made the shift, Stephen, and by the way, I consider myself a very successful healthcare executive for many, many years. Mm-hmm. Except that I knew, well, I didn't know until I knew, right, that I wasn't living my best life. When I discovered coaching, when I started working as a coach, and later on when I started my practice, that's when I discovered, wait a minute, this work is really what fulfills me. Now, because I started a new career, right, a new business, there was no money, there were no titles, there was really nothing. So there were many times where I consider myself not being successful. Yet, there were moments where I was feeling the most fulfilled I ever felt. So what I discover is, for me, success is just letting go of that attachment, that expectation that it has to be a certain way. I don't know if that's making sense to you, Stephen.
Yes.
Because the moment I let go of that attachment, and I just simply stepped into honoring what I love, just doing what I love, and just, appreciating, being grateful for doing what I love, then success, the scorecard part of success, started showing up. More clients. I got more clients. I was able to make better money. We've been able to move into a better house, and and on and on and on. But one did not define the other. You get what I'm saying, Stephen?
Absolutely.
So that's for me how I define success. And again, it's a day to day. I mean, most recently being in LA, it allowed both of us to just ask ourselves, are we, is success defined by what? By what we have? By, or is success defined by the life that we're creating together? And I'm telling you, I think for me personally, being in LA and being able to hit that reset allowed me to see that the life that we've built together, including all the things that we have and all the things that we don't have, that to me is what success is. And
I
I
love
and,
I
and
love
I,
that.
I couldn't be more grateful about it. So I'm hoping, if you're listening, I'm hoping that you're asking yourself, how do I define what is it that success means to me? Ask yourself that question. How do you know if you're successful? Are you pursuing somebody else's version of success? You want to ask yourself those questions. When did I know that that you were, when did you know that you were successful? You know, you got to ask yourself those questions and be okay. Be okay with whatever the answer is. Just understand that in knowing where you are gives you the opening, creates the opening for you to now take a different kind of action. So I think it's about time to take a break. So let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up the conversation, and I'll tell you a few uh, notes of different studies that have looked into what success is. We'll be right back. And hello and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elex. I am your host, Coach Elex. With me, my wonderful co-host,
Stephen, the medium.
Stephen the Medium's in the house, and we're talking about how to define success for yourself and why it is important that you get to define success for yourself and you don't fall into the trap of, having somebody else or following somebody else's definition of success. Now, there's a study by the Harvard Business Review that it was about 4,000 interviews, more than 80 surveys, and senior executives were asked what success meant to them in work and in life. And couple of conclusions: subjective factors such as making a difference, working with a good team, with good people in a good environment came up frequently in leaders' definitions of great success. So again, subjective factors is often what people see as a definition of success. Leaders, high-performing leaders. Rewarding relationships also were by far the most common element in personal success. And that says a lot. So a lot of these people very successful. A lot of these people make lots of money. Yet the subjective metric was, their better indicator for them of how to define success. The Harvard Business Review concluded that, and here's the golden nugget. Here's what you want to take away. We talk about this all the time. Life's too short to spend valuable energy chasing after objective success measures that don't affect your subjective bottom line. So if you're chasing money at the expense of happiness and fulfillment, you're on the wrong path, and life's too short for that. So make sure that you can chase money. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't ever do it at the expense of that fulfillment, that happiness, that satisfaction, love, joy, whatever that is that matters to you. And just as you do on the job, make your personal wins clear, meaningful, and achievable to ensure that the maximum emotional return on your investment of effort. That, I don't think that there's a better message conclusion from this Harvard Business Review than that. So 4 questions that you could ask yourself to help establish your own definition of success. So if you're sort of like, okay, but I think this is what success means for me, but I'm not quite sure, there's 4 easy questions that you could ask yourself. First, if I could leave a legacy right now, what would that legacy be? I do this work with every single one of my clients, and what comes up is nothing short of extraordinary. People are blown away when they think about what legacy do I want to leave behind? So write it down and then speak it in an I am form. When you do so, I tell you, it will transform the whole way of how you look at what really matters to you. Number 2, another question. Why is this legacy a rock in my life, the foundation to my success? So what's the legacy that I want to leave behind? And why is this legacy a rock in my life? Why does it matter? That's really incredible. That's a really important question to ask oneself. Number 3, how will I know that I'm living in alignment with my legacy? By the way, that is what I call living in the foundational integrity. If you say you are committed to living your best life or living a purposeful life, I'm using a general legacy, right? Yet your actions are not aligned with that, then yet you're still doing a job that you don't love, that you're not happy, but it makes you lots of money, but so you're willing to compromise everything else. I promise you that compromise will be very costly at some point because it's impacting your foundational integrity. There's no alignment between that legacy and the life, the actions that you take day in, day out. And the last question is, can I start achieving my definition of success right now? Can I start right now? And the answer is yes. Yes. Ask yourself, how can I start? What do I need to do? What's that one thing that I need to do? Oftentimes, the most difficult step that we can take is the first step. So just do that one thing. And it doesn't have to be a big thing, but one step can really get you into action. What are you thinking, Stephen? What are you hearing here?
Well, I'm thinking the last thing you said is a phrase that coincides what I believe. I always say to myself, forward from here, forward from here. You can start at any time, any second, any part of the day, forward from here. Which I
forward
love.
from here. That's awesome. Forward from here. So listen, do you want to reach your fullest potential? The one that fits into your interpretation of success? The path to success is to take massive, determined, purposeful action. There's no other way. There's no other way. There's no magical answer. There's no free ticket. There is only massive, determined, purposeful action. And that's what I'm inviting you to take on. So, having said that, Stephen, we've reached the end of our show.
So soon.
So soon. It's like we start and then we end. But I hope this was as inspiring to you. You know, when I'm having these conversations, I really use them as a way to inspire me into action. I often tell people I walk the walk with you. I don't talk the talk. If I did, I would be living a very inauthentic life. I wouldn't be a very good coach after all. So I'm walking the walk. You know, these are questions that I ask myself every single day. And I step into a gap every single day. In the face of fear, you know, courage is not the absence of fear, by the way. Courage is action in the face of fear. So it's okay to be afraid. Embrace the fear. Tell yourself, that little part of your brain, you're going to be okay, and still take that massive, determined, purposeful action. So, Stephen, that's it for today. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, before I tell them that, I will say I think it's pretty incredible also that listening to your show, even finding out the subject of your show, and kudos to my best friend Lindsay, who's just so close to me and only me, that helps do your show and set it up. But what I was going to say is it's how amazing it is that I'm just listening to your show and have aha moments. So if that's happening to me, Elix, then it's happening to a lot of people. So just wanted to throw that out. I can be found at Stephen the Medium everywhere. So just walk out of your kitchen window in your backyard, say Stephen the Medium, and I'll appear. I just appear. I just
show up.
Like poof, like like Glenda the Good Witch of the North and Wizard of Oz. I come in a bubble and I just appear.
That's quite the image. That's quite the image. Thank you very much. I can just see I can see the tiara and the and that big bubble gown. Listen, Lindsay is the reason I look this good. I'm telling you, I could never look this good without her support, without the background work that she does to make this show so wonderful. So thank you, Lindsay, for being my right hand. And you can find me at Coach Elix. By the way, I also wanted to say thank you all for your prayers, for your kind thoughts and messages regarding my mom. As I had said earlier, she is doing remarkably well. I mean, this 96-year-old blows my mind every single time. She had a stroke. She lost speech for a short time. She's gained speech back. She has full mobility. She had one small deficiency in her right hand, but she was determined that was not gonna stop her from doing the things she loved. So she's been exercising the hand and doing whatever she needs to do to get better. And right now she's actually knitting, which is unbelievable because that right hand, if you're right-handed, that's what you use to knead. But she was determined, she's using some adaptive equipment to help her, have a better grip. But my goodness, Stephen, I mean, is she not unbelievable?
Unbelievable. Yes.
So, so listen, that's what I look up to. And, I think to myself, listen, if this 96-year-old is not allowing a stroke to get in her way, why am I going to allow a little rain to get me derailed today? No way, Jose. So I hope this show has been as inspiring to you as it has been to us. And your homework is to think about what is your definition of success. And we'll be back. I don't know, Stephen, are we back next week? I don't think I am, because I actually think I am in Texas.
You're not, week. But I am Wednesday, 5 o'clock through the Static.
And
you are. You're with me, but Friday, yeah, you're away.
So we'll be back for Stephen's show Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Don't also forget our producer show is, what's
Mark's Jukebox, dear God.
Well, this is an opportunity for Mark to actually get on the mic and, promote his show.
He's shy.
Oh, my God. He's not shy. Let's just put it that way. But, yeah, seriously.
There he is.
So, Mark, tell people, when is your show?
My show is Wednesday from 3 to 5. Mark's 1320 Jukebox.
There you go.
And an amazing show, I might add.
Yes. So there you go. So you get to hear Mark, you get to hear Stephen, and me on Wednesday, not on Friday, because I will be traveling, but I'll be back the following Friday. So until then, have a fabulous week, day, and see you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.